My name is April Moore. I reside at 9430 Shepherd Drive here in Bowman, Texas.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
I'm here tonight to address an issue where my son was injured at Oldham Academy on April 13, 2011. I received a call from the nurse telling me that my son had been injured, that before she placed him on the bus to send him home to me, she wanted me to know that his nose was swollen and that he was okay. And so I told her that I would come and pick him up. When I got there, my son was in a blank stare. He looked like this. He was sitting in a chair alone with an ice pack he was holding between his legs. I took my son to the hospital where he suffered a concussion and a broken nose. He was bleeding and he couldn't breathe through his nose. Later on that night, because I was told to take him home, that he was okay, that he could return to school in 2 days. He didn't know who I was. And the next day, he wound up in the trauma center at St. Elizabeth. He was transported to Texas Children's Hospital. His diagnosis was that he's severely traumatized and he's now suffering from post-concussive syndrome, to where my son is being placed on 7 medications in the past month. When I tried to find out what happened to my son, you know, who saw what happened to him, no one could tell me that. And ever since that day, I don't have the same child. He doesn't remember what happened to him. He doesn't want to look in the mirror at himself. He was supposed to have homeschool. I went to the school on 5 occasions from April the 20th to get that done for him. I brought the papers from the doctors. It took them a very long time to even get that for him. When I got a phone call telling me that he would get homeschooled, well, my son was in the hospital again, so he didn't have it. And when he was released, I called to tell them that he was home. And she said that he could start, well, he couldn't start because it would end that weekend, but she would give him a grade of 85. No one ever came to my house. My son never had a teacher. It's other things I want to say, but I can't. Thank you.
Okay, and ma'am, and all speakers, if after the meeting, I'll be around, maybe some of the other board members, and maybe we can help you get some resolve out of this. And that's to all speakers.
Michael Getz, 7950 Phelan Boulevard. When I received in the mail my 3rd copy of the BISD Insider this week, I thought, boy, these guys at BISD really do feel like money grows on trees. Not only am I not interested in receiving a fluffy piece of PR in the mail that is already online and can be accessed by my computer, I sure as heck do not need to receive 3 copies of this 30-page magazine. What a waste of tax dollars. I wonder how many other BISD patrons receive multiple copies of this publication as well. Then I thought, well, since I have received 3 copies, maybe someone at BISD is just really trying to emphasize how important it is that I read it. So I turned to page 5 and began reading the superintendent's letter to the BISD patrons. In it, the superintendent acknowledges some, but not all, of the many events that have garnered media attention in the past year. The superintendent references electrical contracts, bus accidents, playground equipment, his salary, stadium turf, legal costs, truck seizures, FBI, hotel event center exploration, scoreboard, court appearances, dropout rates, cafeteria expansions, South Park, debates, petition drives, field trips, community service projects, and war of words. And it is clear from the article that the superintendent believes that the media, or as he likes to call them, the public relations agents for the BISD critics, is being unfair in covering the above-mentioned events. And yet, when you finish reading the article, you come away with the sense that the superintendent is convinced that is a, quote, small but attention-getting minority that is doing all the talking, and that, quote, the majority, even the silent majority, recognizes the great we do. It is sad that the superintendent has let his own ego and arrogance blind him to the realities of what the silent majority believes. The silent majority does greatly appreciate the efforts of the many teachers and administrators in the district that work daily with their children and their neighbors' children. However, the silent majority resents the heavy-handed approach taken by this administration and the routine rubber stamping of its recommendations by 5 of the 7 members of the Board of Trustees. How do I know this? Because a month ago, the majority of those that care enough about this district to exercise their right to vote did so, and 56% of the electorate told this board that a change needed to be made. The superintendent failed to mention that in his letter. And while scare tactics, fear-mongering, and brochures filled with lies may have influenced some voters to return incumbents to the board, the majority of the people that voted see this administration and 5 of the 7 board members for what they really are, an organization that has used the proceeds of the 2007 bond election to line the pockets of their friends and cronies while ignoring the legal requirements relating to proper bidding procedures. This administration has been covering up their actions for too long. Thank God that some in the media have shown the courage to shine the spotlight of public scrutiny into your tangled webs of lies and deceit.
To speak for a minute and a half. First request for a minute and a half, Joseph Lewis.
Wilson. I just want to speak on behalf of Calvin Walker, Walker Electric. I would like for him to continue to do business with the district. I think he's done a pretty good job and will continue to do so. What's disturbing to me, though, is this vendetta that we have here on the Beaumont, Texas plantation against Mr. Walker and the BISD superintendent and board. I take it personally. You know, where were these people when the money that was supposed to build schools? When I was in school at Beaumont High School, we were supposed to get a school built years ago. Money disappeared. We're just now getting schools. You know, where were these people when the substandard concrete was poured, sold at the prison? You know, where were the people then when Ford Park scam was originated? People should be indicted and go to prison for that. It's wrong what was going on there. You know, it's biased here. This biasness here has to stop. You know, we need to just go ahead and just go forward now. You know, and I think anyway. Back to Mr. Walker. I think he should continue with having the contract until circumstances proves otherwise. Thank you.
Lionel Briggs. Lionel Briggs.
My name is Lionel Briggs. I live at 335 Greaves. I'm here today as a taxpayer. And I'd like to say my money's been well spent, and I'd like to thank Dr. Thomas for the great job he's been doing and for hiring Calvin Walker to do their work. I think they should continue, renew his contract and, you know, let him continue doing his work. I know Calvin, since he's been working at at his previous job, Gulf State, and got his own business and been doing great work. And he's loyal, been real loyal to BISD, and I don't think you should be blinded by politics, in this town. And I was at the press club benefit, and I think it was a shame the way they demonized BISD and Calvin Walker. So just continue the good work. Thank you.
Shirley Walker. Shirley Walker.
My name is Shirley Walker. I live at 5070 McAnally. I just wanted to take a little bit of your time to talk about Calvin Walker. Calvin Walker is my brother. And in the midst of all of this, he told me, you know me. You've known me as a child, all of my life. And that's true. I've known him all of his life. He's my brother. And I know that he's a man of integrity. I know he's a hard-working man. I can recall during the hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Ike, I would pass up and down Concord and see him working from morning to night, faithfully working for BISD, trying to get those schools together so our children can come back. I understand that, you're going to base your thoughts and opinions on what everyone else is saying, but I'm asking you, Dr. Thomas, you said earlier something about a report card. I'm asking you to give him a report card and just note and remember the work that he's done for the district and his faithfulness to the district as far as getting everything done. He's a hard worker, and he deserves to continue to work. Thank you.
Nathan Cross. Nathan Cross.
Good evening. My name's Nathan Cross. I live at 6420 Wilder Drive, Beaumont, Texas. I had written down more to say, but I didn't realize it was just going to be a minute and a half. I thought it was going to be 3 minutes. So let me first say two things. Number one, I read the article in The Insider, and a lot of what was in there, Dr. Thomas, is very admirable about the district, and I applaud the district for the accomplishments that have been made. But your main focus of that article was that the perception of, let me see how I can read it. It says, my image, your image, our district's image is basically how people perceive us. And that is part of the problem, is that there is a huge perception out here. I don't have time to finish the rest of what I had written, but my last comment has to do with Walker Electric. I think you need to, in considering the extension of that contract, what would you do if you were looking at that today for the first time, knowing what you know now? He's under indictment. Would you enter into a contract today with someone who was coming to you, offering you a contract? I think the answer would be no.
President Reese, that concludes our communications.
Action item K, consider and if appropriate, take action to approve fourth year option for private labeled bottled spring water for the 2011-2012 school year.
Been motioned by Mr. Mike Neal, second by Mr. Terry Williams, that we accept action item K. Is there any discussion? Mr. Tom Neal has the floor.
Yes, sir, President Reese. I have a problem with this one. This is for putting BISD labels on bottles, and I don't think we have $50,000, need to be spending $50,000 this year on labels with what we have going on with our budget crunch.
Is there any other discussion? Mr. Mike Neal has the floor.
I guess I need a clarification on it. Or were we, is this for bottled water that we would be buying on a regular brand to begin with? I don't know who we're supposed to ask this to.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
Dr. Thomas.
Yeah, Ms. Parker.
I'm not sure if that question is clear clear or not.
You understand the discussion, Ms. Walker?
Yes and no. What exactly is the question?
They have concern about us putting the brand on the water and the cost that it takes.
Yeah, I guess what my question is, what I think Mr. Neal's concern is the private label that we're putting on it, or is this the cost of water that we would be buying
This would be
anyway?
the cost of bottled spring water. Whether the company had their label on it or put ours, they make anybody's label and put it on there. Now, we can buy filtered city water less expensively, and we do, but for spring water it's not filtered city water, then you're going to pay more.
And I think that's what everybody will do is for the water, the bottle, and not the label.
It's not for the label, no.
Well, then,
No, we can drop the spring water and go with just filtered city water.
No, I think everybody.
There's a difference in taste.
I think they're okay.
What is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think everybody's okay with the issue is the label. The label is not a cost. I think that's
No,
the concern.
the label's not the cost.
Well, if I could ask one more question while you're up, what is the difference in the spring and the water, the city water? Because one thing that we have talked about in our budget meetings is trying to cut at every opportunity we have. What kind of difference are we talking about, if you don't mind addressing that for a second?
I think that probably would be a personal preference. Nutritionally, water is water. You're going to have some additives that have gone through filtered city water, but certainly it passes inspection. I mean, it's perfectly
I'm sorry.
fine.
My question wasn't on the water. My question was the cost difference between the two waters.
Why is there a cost difference?
No, what is the cost difference? I'm sorry. I've asked strange questions.
I don't have the bids in front of me, but if my memory serves me, probably 13 cents per bottle.
Per bottle.
Yes. On the big cost. On big cost.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, people pay for the water. Am I correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you're recouping that cost. Whatever the cost is, you're recouping that cost with people paying for the water.
Yes, we sell the water. It is not a part of the meal. It's an a la carte item.
Oh,
We
okay.
use it at catered events, and we sell it in snack bars.
So this is something that's available, because I haven't gone to school in several years. Is this something we're talking about, when you're talking about selling, we're selling it to the students at the cafeteria is one of the uses we have for it?
Students and adults.
Okay.
And that water is available. To have water, they don't have to buy bottled water. Water is available. And in fact, we're making an extra effort beginning this summer to make sure that water is available and cups are available for students and staff in the dining rooms.
Mr. Tom Neal, I see your name still there.
yes, sir. Because the action item says option for private labeling bottled spring water. And so this is not for the labeling, this is for the water.
This is for the water. We would not pay any more for this label with the Bisd label on it than if it just came in with the label of the company on it.
So,
I think we have somebody in the audience that is out of order. We're not going to go through this, and I do not want to keep saying that. If you don't want us to conduct a meeting, then you can go step outside maybe. Please, let us conduct it. They're asking some great questions. Thank you, Mr. Neal.
yeah, one more. Wouldn't it, okay, we have a contract with Coca-Cola we're fixing to sign. Don't they sell water?
Yes.
And wouldn't it just be just as easy to let them put their water in the vending machines, and we save, it's not going to cost us anything.
For them to put their water in the...
Right.
I can't address the vending machines. We don't have anything to do with the vending machines.
Coca-Cola products are in the vending machines. These are private labels that can be sold in the food service operations.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, start your vote. Motion passed. Mr. Neal? Been motioned by Mr. Mike Neal, second by Mr. Terry Williams, that we accept action items P, 1, 2, 3, 4, action item Q, R, S, T, and U. Is there any discussion? I see Mr. Tom Mills on the floor.
Yes, sir, President Reese, just one clarification, and since Ms. Barker is here, maybe she can explain, and I see the explanation about how this works out with the lunches that are paid for and then the free and reduced lunch. Excuse me. Just an education for me.
Okay. All of the lunches receive federal reimbursement. And then we are told what to charge for the reduced price lunch in addition to the reimbursement, and that's 40 cents, and that's nationwide. That hasn't changed in, I don't guess, ever. The paid lunch reimbursement is very little, and the annual increases that we get in the federal reimbursement is always based on consumer price increase, which is, or cost, which is running about 3.2% right now. So when you take a percent of the consumer price against the current reimbursement rate, then your free rate is always increasing each year at a greater amount than the paid rate. So, and the free rate is the same as the reduced rate if you add the 40 cents to the reduced rate. So we're getting the same thing at the register or through the bank for a free lunch that we get for a reduced lunch. However, the price that we charge for a paid lunch plus reimbursement, I think in all schools nationwide, is not nearly as much as the free. So we've been told for years that we need to close that gap. We're now getting heavy guidance from the federal government to close that gap. And so that's why we're asking for the increase this year. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am. That 40 cents number on here, that answers that. But
Okay.
more important, I mean, this is something that the government is, like you said,
Telling us
saying
it's time
close the
now
gap.
that we
Yeah.
really need to take action. And of course, we all go to the grocery store, we know what raw food cost has done. And that's one of the things driving that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.